Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back to discuss another Love and Marriage Huntsville episode. Do me a favor and hit the like button as we jump into this. This is not going to be that long because this is a lot of what we've already seen over and over again. And they made this thing with Martell and Marceau seem like it was going to be so much bigger than it was, just for it to fall flat. Stop doing to be continues and then you come back and it's nothing. Like it's basic. It's very lackluster and I'm over it. One thing that is clear to me in watching this episode is that Martell is still upset because he and the other guys did the same stuff. I do believe that Martell, Maurice, even Chris at some point, and Marceau all cheated. I do. I believe it. I think the difference is that he's the one who got caught, who had a baby, and as a result of all of that, his wife left him. Whereas the Scotts have been able to work through it and present themselves as happily married couples. So he's bitter because he doesn't have that. Whether you like Mel or not, it's clear that since him and Mel have parted ways, things have not been going well for him. And the other men, even though they may have been having certain issues and legal problems and things of that nature, they've been able to maintain their lifestyle. He has not. So we pick up where we left off with Marceau and Martell going at it because Marceau has made it clear that he has lost respect for Martell. Tisha wants him to stop saying that he has something and trying to hold it over her head and just show whatever it is that he has to show. While everybody is sitting there quietly at the time, Kimmy then speaks up and is like, every year you do this. Every other year you say, this is what happened. Then you apologize and say, I'm sorry, it's not true. Basically, like, which one is it? He says, I'm a dude. It's guy code. I'm not supposed to tell, what we did together. I'm not supposed to say anything. So Marceau's like, we never did anything with anybody together. And he said, yes, they have. He says, everybody, has cheated and you effed after me and Tisha, you're nasty. It's like he's going on this thing about what's going on with everybody else when it's not about everybody else. Right now, it's about him. He's calling Tisha nasty. Tisha wants to know what she did. I personally don't like the fact that Marceau allows for him to continually say things that are disrespectful to his wife. I get that you just want to allow him to speak and say whatever he says and in essence dig a deeper hole for himself, but you are supposed to be her man. At some point, I'd like to see him step up and protect her, but he doesn't. So Marceau says, no, Tisha, no, stop. Don't tell him to prove anything. Don't ask him anything. Kimmy tells us it's low down for him to bring Tisha in it. This friend group has allowed Martell to get away with things for so long that he has no boundaries. And now they're getting a taste of how low he'll go and they don't like it. But as Mel later says in the episode, it is like they made some type of pact with one another that they're going to stand by each other. So Destiny says, another question, other than your significant other, who has shown up for you the most in this alleged group of friends? If Destiny is supposed to be the referee, if Destiny is supposed to supposedly be having this field day activity to bring the group together, then why would she ask questions that are designed to create issues? I call your bluff. I sometimes like Destiny, but Destiny has a way of doing things without being truthful about her intentions. She intended for Martell to get some things off her chest, which she later admits when she goes out to eat with him. So don't try to act like you just wanted to build the group together when you already know how your friend is. You've seen him be hostile with Martell. With Marceau. You've seen him be hostile with Mel. You've seen him be hostile with Wanda when he got in Wanda's face about the things that she said about his kid's hair. So if he is willing to do that to any woman, you had to have known that he was going to do that to a guy. So Marceau says, Martell has shown me how not to lose my marriage for a shareable side chick. He spits out whatever's in his mouth when he says that. And he's about to go in, but Destiny stops him. He said, at one point, Martell asked me if I gave, if Mel tried to give me fellatio. They show flashbacks of him basically accusing Martell accusing Marceau, all these M's, and Mel doing something. And Mel, of course, was like, no. He then starts going in on Tisha's sexual history and what she did in college and what he may or may not have seen, and how Tisha married Marceau when he was fatter than he is now and uglier than he is now. So if he, if he could have and would have asked Tisha, he could have. It's just like a whole bunch of stuff saying like basically he could get Tisha. It was vulgar. And there may see stuff that I'm missing, but it was just a lot of back and forth. And I was over trying to rewind it because it was too much. So Tisha, he says, got the bottom of the barrel. So now not only are you insulting him, but you're insulting Tisha because you're basically saying like she settled. Destiny says he's wrong for doing that. She gets upset. She leaves. Lance walks her out. So Tisha, as she's walking out, is like, you can't trust a liar, talking to Martell. And Marceau is trying to calm her down because he doesn't want this to continue to be a thing. He tells her that Martell acts like a woman, so don't go back and forth with him. Martell's like, and he acts like a bee. He says the whole word. Kimmy says the both of them are out of pocket. So we see her telling Marceau that it's not okay for Tisha to be collateral damage from them arguing. She's like, I don't like it. It's not right. He's over there fixing her hair and stuff. Why does it seem like he is so much more tender with Kimmy sometimes than he is with Tisha? I just noticed, and I'm not saying there's anything there. I think that he and Kimmy do have a brother and sister dynamic. I just think that, like Mel, he has a certain respect for Kimmy, and it shows in the way that he tends to treat Kimmy or respond to Kimmy when Kimmy tries to correct him. I gotta agree with what Kimmy is saying. Any man should not be okay with the things that he was alluding to and the things that he was saying about his wife. I said it last week. I don't even like how he's always talking about her shape or saying who's that in the pink or who is that thick girl, or like he's always making comments about Tisha. Kind of feel like he wants Tisha. So we then see Maurice, Chris, and Martell at the truck, and he's like, Kimmy, don't be mad at me. He's shouting, Kimmy, don't be mad at me. Reese is like, she's not going to be mad at you. This is what you do. She needs to be mad at him. All of you all. And Reese, after he just went back and forth with your brother the way he did, after he just disrespected your sister-in-law the way you did, why are you over there talking to him, being buddy-buddy with him? Doesn't seem right to me, but what do I know, right? So Reese is like, this is what you do. You get angry and you act out. He tells us it's been 6 years of these two going at it. And he keeps saying different things about Marceau, but he doesn't have proof. Because if he did, he would have used it by now. And I agree. I think that they all saw each other do various things, but they know that they were smart enough to not have anything out there that he could use against them, because he's proven time and time again that he'll throw them under the bus. So that's the end of that. We later see Marceau and Tisha. Tisha's at the jewelry store and she's looking for rings. When her husband joins her, she wants him to wear a ring. He tries on different rings, and despite him saying it's a sign of disobedience, he's trying to appease her a little bit. That man doesn't want to wear a ring. And I would say that it is okay if this were something that they discussed prior to being married. I know when I was at Adventist, some people don't wear rings because they don't wear jewelry. If that's how you operate, then that's how you operate. But I think that there's other reasons behind it. So he tries on a ring for $2,000. He says that rings used to be $88, and the guy agrees. As I said, Tisha wants him to wear a ring. As they get their jewelry cleaned, she says, the last 7 years have been tough, that, we went through a period where we were wondering if we were going to be together. And he says, Tisha, one of the things that I always liked about you is when I walked behind you, there's a way that you always, held yourself. And you were always this strong person. But I started seeing a change in Tisha, and I didn't like it. She's basically like, okay, well, you're talking about a change in me, but after being beat up constantly for so much, that I changed. People have constantly been coming for me. I was depressed and I was sad and I was hurt. And she's sitting there crying. He wipes her tears a little bit, but he always has this way of dismissing her feelings because he's telling her that she's putting basically too much credence to what other people are saying and she doesn't have to look at it. But her feelings are valid, especially if you have someone that's your friend that you say is like a brother to you, telling her constantly that you cheat on her, right? Right. So he feels like the internet holds too much weight for Tisha and that they need to stop being worried about that. Tisha says she talked to Destiny. She apologized to Destiny for what happened. I personally don't think that Tisha owed Destiny an apology. Destiny knew what that situation was going to turn into, but Tisha felt like she needed to apologize, so she did. Marceau agrees that he will apologize as well because it shouldn't have got to the point that he was. He said that Martell has been a loose cannon for a long time, and that is just not what it was anymore. That they don't hang out as much, and the respect is gone. And I think that that's the bottom line. Their friendship is done. He says if Martell would do some of the things that he's done to the mother of his kids, then there's no telling what he'll do to him. Interesting that after all these years, this is what he's finally saying. So what was the final straw? And I wish somebody would ask him that. What made you finally feel that way? Because I don't think it was just the revenge piece. I think it was more to it than that. What did he do that really has him now speaking out against him? Is it because you and Tisha talked about the situation and you admitted some of the stuff that you've done and y'all agreed to let it go? Why is it now that you're so open to speak against what he does when previously y'all been protecting that man? So we see Tisha and Mel. They meet up because Mel has to film with all these people, and this is the only way she's going to do it. Mel lets us know that she had no plans to go to field day. Last time she went to field day when she was like in 6th grade, she's more focused on the goal of making money. So she brings up Reese and his DUI. Tisha's like, bottom line is we're just happy it wasn't worse, that, he was safe and that no one was hurt because people could have been hurt. Mel's like, oh, Tisha, that sounds so amazing. You see how you're saying that right there? And how you're talking? How amazing it would have been if, that dialogue happened. Tisha's like, don't do that. Don't do that. Because, Mel, I get it. You feel away, but you're doing too much. You are. Was he wrong? Yes. But Tisha doesn't need the sarcasm. Direct that sarcasm towards him and towards Kimmy. So Tisha's like, we told him that. Mel says, you know what? We lost my grandmother to a drunk driver. And I just wish that instead of him doing what he did, I wish he would have said something like what you said. But that's not what he did. Instead, he came online and it was free Reese, free Reese. She feels like he shouldn't have did what he did, and he should have addressed it the way that Tisha did. So Tisha says he made a mistake, and we've all made mistakes. We've all done it. Mel feels like, it's a choice, and him having a bottle in his hand is wrong. Tisha says, Mel has strong opinions because of what has happened to her, and I get it. I like to say that it's nobody's business, But in this group, that's not what happens. In this group, everybody gets in everybody's business. They do. But the Scotts have a way of making sure that all of their business isn't revealed. It's just what they do. So, she brings up how things affect Kimmy and how when your husbands do things, that's what it does. She then talks about the red lipstick that's on his lips. Different people feel different ways about it. I personally understand what it's like to date a lighter complected man. They get red for various reasons. Lips could have been red because he's mad. Maybe it was lipstick. Maybe it was like Tisha said, which was a drink. Not for me to say, but Mel is doing her job of carrying bones. So Tisha's like, he was probably drinking a drink, but you're asking a lot of questions and I'm about to go. So she thanks her for the food and leaves. We see Destiny and Martell meet up for drinks. She tells him that not only does he owe her an apology, but he owes Tisha an apology as well. He asks why she didn't direct the question. Why did she direct those questions at him in the first place? She says, you said you had issues and that was the point of the event. Martell says that he was open to move to the past. What am I saying? But Marceau wasn't. Because she asked him a question like, she says, you said that you were open to do this. And, I thought you were, but it was clear that he wasn't. And when she said it, I was like, are we watching the same show? The moment that any of them say anything against them, he brings up cheating or side chicks or something like that. So how can Destiny say that he was willing to move past the past when the truth is none of them have been willing to move past it? They all go back to it because it seems like that's all they got. They don't have anything else to talk about other than the past. Martell claims that he's not lying, that Marceau doesn't know the truth, and it bothers him that he keeps saying things and acting like he's lying. Destiny says, you owe Tisha an apology because she shouldn't have caught those strays. This fool then says, they're one, aren't they? So if she doesn't tell him not to say certain things, then the gloves are off. Basically saying like, as long as he says anything about him, she's going to catch a stray. He says he doesn't know the dynamic of Marceau and Tisha, but she seems to accept whatever he does. That she knows that he had a relationship for 2 or 3 years, and both he and Mel know it's true. Whatever Mel knows about him is because you said something to her about it. Did Mel witness it for herself? I doubt it, because everything that Mel brought up prior was stuff that you told her. So Tisha, he says, is trying to coach, and they bleep out the name on what to say. So here we are again, back to this coaching thing. And I guess it's the same thing for everybody. First, Martell was having coleslaw coach by, Mel, and now Tisha is coaching somebody else. So she's like, so you trying to say that both of them are trying to teach people how to respectfully cheat? And he says, yeah. I don't think either of them are trying to teach anyone how to respectfully cheat. I do think that at some point Tisha found out things about her husband. I think that they worked on it off camera, and that's that, because Tisha not leaving her man. And here's the thing. Who am I to say what I would do if I was in Tisha's shoes? I had a man cheat on me and I stayed with him. So who am I to judge this married woman if she decides to stay with her cheating man? Not my problem. That's on her. So Destiny says she doesn't know if she believes that Tisha did that. And Martell says she did. And you need to believe what I say. You need to believe what I tell you. Either way, he's not apologizing to Marceau for anything. And if anything, he's going to go even harder. We then see Chris and Marceau. They meet up at the house he's building. Chris is walking around talking about the floor to ceiling windows, and he likes what he sees, the floating staircase. He says he has new agents and he's going to start assigning them according to their strengths. Then Marceau tells him Tisha's plan and his plan to build more contemporary homes. They aren't going to do total custom builds, but they're willing to work around certain things. Interesting that this man can build houses for other people, but we haven't heard anything else about Scott Manor. How long ago did we hear about it? And we've heard nothing since. He still hasn't built the house for himself, right? Find that odd. So the subject of Martell comes up, and Chris doesn't get why it turned into that. He says, Martell always says inappropriate things. If he's not saying something inappropriate about me, then he's saying something inappropriate about y'all. Look at what he did with Nell. Look at how he basically called your wife the side chick. Chris says, yeah, I don't like that, and I told him about that. Chris, pump your brakes. Because you may have told him to stop, but he doesn't take you seriously because he said it multiple times, and we got shots of the multiple times that he said it. He says he doesn't need people in his life or want people in his life who do things like that. As far as he is concerned, him and Martell are done. That they're adding nothing to each other's lives. Their seasons are up, and they can't be friends after all that's been said and done. I agree. Their friendship is done. Done, 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 done. Final scene is Melody and Trisha. And Mel's sole purpose, in my opinion, in this scene, y'all tell me yours, was to catch Trisha up in yet more lies. So they're filming a scene, and she's asked about how coming into the group has been. And she said, it's been different. She's not accustomed to groups that really don't hang with each other. The only people that she's really hung around is the Scotts here and there. But it hasn't been a lot of engagement. She says that, after she left the trip early and she didn't say goodbye because a lot of people made it awkward. But that's not why she left. She didn't say goodbye because Stormy and Mel kind of got into it, and she is Stormy's friend, and she seemed to have side with her. She also left supposedly because she had to go to her daughter's stuff. So I personally have respect for people more for being honest. She says she was frustrated and pissed off, and it felt awkward. And Mel's like, you helped make it awkward. She says because at the sunset dinner, there were things that you apparently didn't tell your friends correctly. And Trisha's like, yeah, I owned up to it. I said that I didn't. She said, I had to ask Martell what his motive was and why did he even say I was at his house? So Mel's like, oh yeah, now that you're speaking of that, you didn't think it would be awkward to go and work out at his house? She's like, no. I go and, work out with people at their house all the time. She's like, but you didn't really know him. She goes, no, I knew him because, of his brother. She's like, you knew of him. You didn't know him. So she's like, I knew him. I said, oh, Mel is here to investigate. Mel, I don't really feel like you needed to go here because it kind of makes you seem like you're still hung up on Martell. Maybe you're doing this to show us yet again how much of a liar he was on certain things and how much stuff he did. Maybe you're doing this to prove that Trisha lies. But I didn't really feel like it was needed. But we got that Trisha's a liar. So she said that she was frustrated and pissed off and felt awkward. Mel said, oh, I already read that. Look at me. Let me find out where I am on this page. Oh gosh. So she says she works out with people all the time. Mel says, when was it? She was like, oh, it was in 2020. I'm confused because in 2020, she put up a post about happy anniversary with her man. And in 2020, she was already supposed to be dealing with Ken. You see what I'm saying about this timeline and how it keeps changing? So she's like, when? She's like, I don't remember the month. Mel feels like, she lies. She lies a little. So Mel's like, which house it was. Because I could probably tell you which house it was. What did the house look like? Was it, what color was it? Was it this color? Was it that color? Oh, you don't remember the color. Well, how about the driveway? So she's like, okay. Mel says, okay, I left the house in April. I filmed my video in July. And then I was out at around August or September. She says, oh, yeah. It was, it was fall. It was chilly. Interesting how once she said she was out in September, you gonna say, oh, it was fall. I don't believe her. I think that she said that because she wanted to make sure that there was no overlap. So Mel says, oh, fall? Yeah. It wasn't that house that you're describing then. She tells us clearly she's hiding something. She says, were you and Ken talking at that time that you came? And she's like, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. She's stumbling over words. Oh, no, that came much later. Mel says, if she had girl code, She would have told me this before we went to the trip, but it's too big of an ask. She could have easily pulled me to the side and told me this. So then she asked her if she knew all of this before the trip, and she says yes. And that's basically how they ended. If there's something that I left out, y'all put it down below. Tell me what you thought of this. And what do y'all think about Mel questioning Trisha on her timeline? Why do you think she did it? Until next time.